Just give me one. Move my camera. All right. Good afternoon, good evening, good morning, whatever city, whatever country, whatever states that you are listening to me from. My name is Shofu Babalola Theophilos, and you're welcome back to the wonderful, wonderful Pest Experience show. You know what time is it right now? This is about 9 minutes past 7 West African time, PM West African time. This is the platform where we talk about every single thing that has to do with pest and pest control, the major platform where you get to understand the techniques, the nitty-gritties, and the major things that has to do with the industry. And you know how we do it. We don't just talk about pest control in just one state. We go across different cities, across different country, across different states to be able to share experiences, to get people who have spent years and years and years and multiple years in practicing this pest control industry. And tonight we have a wonderful guest. But before I talk about my wonderful guest, the Pest Experience show has every Sunday 7 to 8 p.m. West African time. And last week we had a wonderful, wonderful guest all the way from University of Florida, an associate professor from University of Florida, Urban Entomology and Nematology department, a person of Dr. Rebecca Baldwin, where she shared her experience and how to become ACE International, how to become more certified in the pest control industry. That's a very good session that you really don't want to miss out from. So just go straight down to YouTube, or if you're watching us directly on YouTube now, just go straight down to YouTube and watch that video. And the Pest Experience show is proudly sponsored by the A Mobile Group Academy, and I have good message from the A Mobile Group Academy for you all tonight. So let's just stay tuned while we listen to the message from A Mobile Group Academy.
24 hours a day, and guess what? 365 days in a year, where you can become a professional from just 5,000 naira. Do you want to check it out on www.amobilegroupacademy.com now? Have you heard about our new online learning platform?
A Mobile Group Academy. It's a one-stop shop where you can also learn, unlearn, and relearn. So just go straight down to amobilegroupacademy.com to be able to take some of the courses. You're really gonna miss. You're gonna learn a lot of things from here. And you also know that the Pest Experience show is also proudly sponsored by the Pest Shop by D Fortune. Right, and this time around, the Pest Shop, you can get your product listed on pestshop.ng. If you have a standard course that will benefit other people, you can go to academy.pestshop.ng, load your courses there, and you earn money based on the knowledge that you pull out there. Right. Also, if you have your services, your products get them listed on pestshop.ng at the very, very minimal cost, even though you can actually take 14 days trial for free and also get signed up. So just go straight down to pestshop.ng to learn all those things. Then amazing news is that there is what we call the 40% price slash, in fact over 50%, about 50% price slash on premise 200 SC product. And in fact, it's closing on the 15th of August to take just 3 days promo, 3 days price slash. So you want to call Pest Shop right now. Imagine Pest Shop premise is being sold about 240,000 naira, but right now you can buy it for about 145,000 naira. So just call in 090 990 9990 7382, 090 9990 7382. Go and call pestshop.ng, Pest Shop by D Fortune, to get in your products at a very, very, very good price. All right, so those are the major key messages that I have for you tonight. But let not just forget that tonight we have an amazing, wonderful, wonderful guest who's going to be talking about how to effectively perform a pesticide-free service in person of Mr. PCO Alexander Smith. But before I bring him right on the show tonight, I would, my routine of the Pest Experience show is basically to allow the guest to introduce themselves. And I think I'm going to allow him, to introduce himself, because most of the people in our community already know who are bringing up tonight. I'm bringing up an expert. But I want him, as normal routine on the Pest Experience show, to, introduce himself to everybody tonight. So you're welcome, PCO Alexander Smith, right on the show tonight.
Hey Shofu, how's it going? Glad to be here. So I guess I'm supposed to introduce myself. I've been a pest management professional for almost 12 years now. I started in a place called Boston, Massachusetts. For those who don't know where it is, it's where Mark Wahlberg is from, and that's the last we're going to talk about that guy. Um,
Amazing.
yeah, that's the long and short of it. This is all I've ever done career wise. I wouldn't have stayed in it this long if I didn't love doing it.
Amazing, amazing. So you spent over 12 years in the pest control industry, and that's really really amazing. And now you're also a certified associate certified pest entomologist, which is really really good news. And we're going to be talking about um how to effectively carry out a pest management pesticides free service. In fact, that's a very very huge topic to discuss. I know people are like, how can we carry out? Let me first of all go back to the evolution of pest control that I saw this morning from Dr. Raja Mahindra from Mumbai, where he presented at Popman Summit 2024 in India. And it started with this, that initially when pest control then was all about DDT spraying. They call us the exterminators before we moved on to become pest control operators, then now high PM managers, and now the new term that was coined by him is pest risk managers, right? So there is always an evolution coming in. And in all these things, there is still the case of using pesticide in getting rid of pests. So my first point of communication now is: can you explain the concept? What is the concept behind the pesticide-free pest management practice? What's the base? What's the thing behind it?
So I want to be able to explain this for everybody, not just people who are pest management professionals. So I'm going to ask you two questions. Shofu, what is your favorite drink?
My favorite drink, Hollandia. Even though they don't pay me for adverts.
Yeah, say it again.
Hollandia. There's this Hollandia drink like that. Yogurt,
Okay,
basically
so
yogurt drinks. I prefer yogurt.
Orlandia drink?
Yeah.
Okay, so I want you to imagine that this is full of your favorite drink, okay?
Hmm.
And I want you to imagine that this is in your cabinet, okay? Name a pesticide for me. Any pesticide. If you have a favorite, choose that one.
Sapanet, or Sapanet, or let me say premise 200 SC by Envu.
Okay, so how much premise is going to make your Orlandia taste better?
Hmm. How much premise?
Yeah, none. So
Hmm.
when when we talk about pesticides, we're thinking about these are the places people eat. These are the places people sleep. These are the
Hmm.
places people do business. So if I have a bug in here, am I putting premise in this glass or am I taking this can of air
Hmm.
and getting it out that way? This isn't a pesticide. This is just air.
Hmm.
And it could get the bug out just as easily as premise.
Hmm.
So that is the theory, that is the concept, that is the thought process behind pesticide free service is
Amazing.
these materials, these pesticides, these chemicals, they come with consequences. And why indulge these consequences, these reactions, if we can get rid of the bug without using them?
Hmm. Nice. That's a very good way to explain pesticide free service, which is actually very, in fact, that has answered a lot of questions. But now I saw a post from you on LinkedIn about 4 months ago where you talked about something about failure is not an option, and failure is just, you just talked about failure basically. So my question is now: do you think the use of less insecticide or even no insecticide at all can actually lead to failures in pest control services or even repeated callbacks?
So, again, I've been doing this for 12 years, and during that 12 years, probably somewhere around the 4 year mark, I went through a very cocky, confident phase where I would tell people I can get rid of your bed bug problem with a jar of peanut butter. It will take
Hmm.
me a very long time to do that, but I can do that.
Wait,
And
sorry.
there are some
A jar
pests
of
that we
peanut
don't
butter.
have to use pesticides for. Yes.
Amazing. Do you want to talk
That
about
now
that?
I could be being facetious. I So basically, peanut butter is full of oils, and we talked earlier before broadcast about using Dawn dish soap to take care of cockroaches.
Yeah.
Oil fills up the holes in an insect's exoskeleton, making it so that they can't breathe or respirate. So technically, if I was willing to go over anybody's bed with fingertips, maybe a pair of tweezers, and pick off a bed bug one by one and stick it in my jar of peanut butter, I could get that done. It would take me a long time. And
Hmm.
considering most of us professionals bill by the hour, who knows how much that's going to cost? But in theory, we could get that done. But if it takes me 12 hours to do that, maybe that is a failure. It
Hmm.
took me too long. So the goal when we're talking about pesticides versus pest is how long do we have and what sort of circumstances are we working with? Because like I brought up bed bugs.
Hmm.
That's somebody's bed. Somebody sleeps on that. Because we're asking a different question. How much pesticide helps you sleep better at night?
Hmm.
And the answer is none. It has
None.
they're not
100%.
related. So if we can do it without pesticides, using a vacuum, using heat, using, the good old fashioned adhesive traps,
Hmm.
why shouldn't we?
Amazing. So that would also lead me to this. You made mention of using heat treatment, vacuums. So I want you to explain better. If we are not using pesticides, what else would be the best thing to control? Are you looking at biological control, or what are we looking at exactly to solving and getting rid of these pests?
So biological control could mean a whole lot of different things. First and foremost, like there's the apprehend system that uses a fungus to take care of bed bugs. So in that case, I'm perfectly comfortable using a biologic control. But when it comes to cases like, well, let's introduce a predator to take care of the prey. Well, if we're talking insects, nobody likes spiders. So let's introduce spiders to get rid of this bug. People are going to be running out of their house, threatening to burn the thing down because of the spiders.
Hmm.
So biologic controls could go a lot of different ways, but as far as the vacuuming, I'm a big advocate for a HEPA vacuum cleaner. The
Okay.
person doesn't have to worry about a pest whether the treatment worked or not if you just completely take it out of their home. I mean, as far as non-pesticides, that mouse is dead. I didn't use a pesticide on that mouse.
Amazing.
This will help me track down insects. If the insect's head is pointed that way, I know it came from that way. If I
Oh,
stuff this in a hole, nothing else is coming through the hole.
that's a copper mesh.
So, and yeah, that's copper mesh. Mice can't chew through this. So, and how do we make those decisions? Well, you know just as well as I do. This thing, the flashlight.
Amazing. Wow. Amazing. 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 So if we get to use all these materials, it doesn't have to do with also like the exclusion, habitat alteration, and biological sanitation. But one thing I found out about this is that there is a need for a
So,
client collaboration. What about that?
so I teach classes like this pretty much every day of the week, and that mousetrap right here, I can't hand it to you through the screen and walk you through setting a mousetrap.
Hmm.
I can't show you how to fold this up the right way. I can't have you stuff this into a hole. But what we can focus on in this medium, is because it's how I teach a lot of the time, is communication. Now, when you walk into a place and it looks like they've been spraying the walls down with gravy every night and they tell you it's clean, you something has to change.
Hmm.
So Communication is a big part of that. Sanitation is a big part of that. There are many pest control companies that actually have sanitation divisions, like Rentokil-Terminix, for example. It has Steritech as one of their companies. Steritech is a sanitation company.
Oh,
So communication is pest control. Everything from I call you up and say, "Hey, I'm coming out to do the service you scheduled tomorrow," to, "Okay, I finished everything. Here is everything I use, and here is everything I need you to do," because pest control is a partnership.
true, true. That's one thing I actually like sincerely agree is the fact that pest control is actually partnership between you as the pest control operator and also the homeowner or even the facility manager, because you need their collaboration to be able to solve the problem effectively, right? And basically this has to do with first assessing the facility. What's your recommendation for pest control technicians in assessing a facility to solving a particular pest problem? Because you, like you said, pesticides is no longer an option, right? So it means that the pest control technician needs to understand the pest biology, right? The life cycle, their processes, and how they operate, and all those kind of things first before they start even thinking of how to control them without pesticides. So, what's your take on assessment? What are the major tools to be able to carry out an assessment? What are the processes to carry out an assessment? I know.
I'm going to sound like an old man here, and that's not what I'm trying to go for, but this needs to be in your pocket. And I want you to have the phone with you because it's a great note taking tool, but it is not your flashlight. And it honestly shouldn't be a reference material unless you were so new that you need to look everything up. You need to have an actual flashlight on you. But
Mm,
as far as assessment is concerned, like we're all human beings, is the first thing I want to point out. So when you are assessing a facility, you need to know, what is this facility doing and what happens to this facility when they have a pest problem, because it could be anything from I saw a cockroach and I did not like the way that made me feel, to there are cockroaches in this building and now we are losing money because of the cockroach. We had to shut down the facility, and that cockroach is costing us however much pest control costs, plus however long the facility is shut down and not making money.
mm,
So it can always come back to the biology, but you can learn biology on the job. You can learn biology just by watching a pest. If you see a cockroach, you are learning about a cockroach. You are being an observational biologist.
mm.
Understanding your customer and what they are doing is going to do so much more for everybody than all the biology information you could possibly have.
Amazing, amazing. So there's something that you said. Understanding the customer can actually help in solving the pest problem. It can actually even help with the pest biology. Now, do you think
Yes.
pest prevention by the client, which is actually what Dr. Mahendra from India is emphasizing on with pest risk management, first understanding how to prevent them before they even become manifestation? Do you think that would play a crucial role in pesticides free service?
Absolutely. Because at the end of the day, if we are talking conducive conditions, well, let's drop a couple. So, excessive moisture. What pests are attracted to excessive moisture?
Hmm.
I
Those are
jokingly say all of
cockroaches.
them,
True.
every single one. Cockroaches, ants,
Actually,
rats,
they just need food, water, shelter.
termites. So, yeah. So, and then you add other conducive conditions. Like I ask all of the new hire technicians this question: do you have food in your house?
Hmm.
Yeah. Is your house warmer than it is outside most of the time? Yeah. It's nice, isn't it? So,
True.
having those things, why wouldn't a pest want that? So if you're not doing the things to keep them out, such as you can't completely seal up a home because it does need to breathe, but if you aren't practicing proper exclusion,
Hmm.
the pests are going to want a piece of your nice life. If you aren't properly containing your food in a container, again, the pests are going to want a piece of that. And that's most of what we should be doing as an industry is keeping our eye out for that because again, all of those nice things, how much pesticide makes them work better?
Hmm. That's true. So, thinking about this pesticide application process, and we are going to be looking at the major parts, which is ensure that we don't apply pesticides at all. And okay, for our listeners that are out there who are currently listening to us on InsideRadio.net or even directly on YouTube, I want you to drop in your question in the chat box, or you drop in your suggestions or recommendations or anything you want to say. Put them in the chat box on YouTube or InsideRadio.net. If you're listening on InsideRadio.net, just go straight down to InsideRadio.net and we'll be able to read out your questions and your comments right during the program right here. Okay, so now you talked about the major aspects of trying to also educate the clients in ensuring that they also participate in solving this problem, which I in fact, 100% totally agree because they are the ones staying in the apartment. They are the one using more of the apartment. In fact, what makes my own work more easier when I'm going out for operations myself is, or even with my technicians, is basically we go there, we ask the clients questions. Where do you notice them? Where do you see them the most? Because you really can't go with the idea that bed bugs are on the bed in a particular client based on your experience before. Because in that other apartment, it's a different case entirely. A different case entirely. So they are the ones staying in the apartment. They know the solution. They know how the problem, the level of infestation is. So you can easily get the level of infestation from them. But this kind of situation now that we're going into the zero application of pesticides. So they need to also understand these things, the processes that, okay, will it take time? Will it take how many years or, how many months or days will it take to be able to get rid of this um, rodents totally? So there's a video I saw on was it on LinkedIn where a pest control technician actually placed in a rodent cage. Is it for rodents or there's this particular, but rodents basically? Let me use rodents. A rodent cage, bait station. So and also there's a camera there. So at some point the trap could not catch that particular rodent. So the rodent is just coming in, the rat is just going in and coming out, going in, then coming out, but not going to where exactly the snap trap is. So that's also part of the challenge of pesticide free. Because if he has used a bait or anticoagulant or something, you should be expecting that in the next 4 to 7 days they will die. Right? So my question is, what are the challenging case or the cases that you have encountered in applying pesticide free service?
So bed bugs have always been a problematic type of service because at the end of the day, a lot of times what people who have bed bugs need is they need residual. They need a long lasting treatment, especially
Yeah.
if they are the type of client that is constantly bringing them from one place back to their home. So that can be challenging, but again, we can bring that back to client education.
Mm.
And I want to take a step back with that in mind because sometimes our clients don't know what they're talking about. I've had many instances, and
True.
this is from when I first started in this industry, where I would go to a place and somebody would say, I have cockroaches. And
Mm.
I would say to myself, just as you would, I know how to take care of cockroaches. And I would do
True.
a full cockroach service without seeing a single cockroach. And I would think I did an awesome job. And then I get called back. Well, why am I getting called back? I did an awesome job for the cockroaches. I didn't see any, but I did an awesome job. Client
Mm.
didn't actually have cockroaches. Client had sawtooth grain beetles and had no idea what they were talking about. So, first and foremost, we need to start we need to start at the beginning every time.
Hmm.
I've had the same instance with bed bugs. I think I have fleas. And now you and I both know if somebody says they have fleas, you might just think to yourself, they have bed bugs and this is going to be a long day. But they honestly believed they had fleas, and probably half of that service was, you have bed bugs, you don't have fleas. You need to
Hmm.
turn the page.
Hmm.
So a lot of the problem comes from people not accepting their situation or not understanding their situation, but us taking them at their word. And that makes it sound like our customers are fools. They're not. I'm sure they're experts at whatever they do. But
Yeah.
it is our job to actually figure out one, what we are dealing with. And then, so bed bugs, I'm not going to name the places people get bed bugs because that conversation always gets unsavory. But listen, we do need to have a conversation about, you are going someplace and bringing these back. I can remove them as much as you would like, but that is going to involve me coming here every 2 weeks because that is their breeding cycle.
Hmm. Yeah.
German cockroaches, how far are you willing to go to avoid pesticides? Because whenever I do a pesticide free service, it's not my choice, it is my specialization. It is something I can do, but how far are you willing to go with this pesticide free idea? Because we might get to a point where I am pulling your cabinets off of the walls to vacuum these things up. I am taking a screwdriver and I'm unscrewing all of your outlet covers and light switch covers so I can get the cockroaches out of the wall with this compressed air. So
Wow.
it all depends on how far the customer is willing to go to not have a pesticide in their service. I am confident I can get rid of rodents without any rodenticide, but the price of that might be, it's going to smell. Like I'm going to lock something inside of your wall and it's going to die there, and we'll have to come back and remove it later.
Hmm.
But so, like anything, there is a give and take. It is possible, I feel, for 90% of pests to be taken care of pesticide free, but it's going to take time. And how far are you willing to go?
Amazing. There's one major point that you talked about getting rid of rodents. You're really sure that you can get rid of rodents without rodenticide. But I want you to make it much more practical because this is Pest Experience show, and I'm very sure that the PCOs and the pest control operators that are listening or that will be watching this after the live show will be willing to ask this question. Like, I want to know how exactly are you able to do that without rodenticide? But you made mention of something like puffing something into the walls. Like, what exactly is that stuff? Do you want to share that?
So I will tell you first,
Yeah.
I'll tell you the first part that's involved in a rodent like elimination service. You better not like to sleep because you have to be moving around when the rodents are. I have spent countless hours at 2 or 3 in the morning just walking into dark rooms and listening.
Hmm.
Okay, this is where they are. I have to turn the lights on. Okay, I see them. Now we are in the process of, how many hundreds of these can I fit where they're not going to get stepped on?
Hmm.
How many of these can I put down? Or if they're rats, the bigger ones, can I put down where they're not going to trigger on somebody's finger or foot? And then where are they going? I'm now using my flashlight looking for rub marks, sebum trails. Where are they going in and out
Yeah.
of the wall? Okay, that's where they're going in and out of the wall. Do I need to cut a hole in this wall? And sometimes the answer is yes. You have to cut holes in walls. You have to put cameras inside of walls. Well, why are they in this wall? Well, there's a pipe somewhere that they came through. Well,
True. Hmm.
I then get the grace to say, I'm not a plumber, but there is a pipe broken somewhere that they're coming through or that they're attracted to for the water. And
Wow.
that's the whole integrated pest management thing, isn't it? Like everything
Exactly.
has to be
That's
integrated. Your plumbing has to
yeah.
be up to date if you don't want rats and flies.
Hmm. Amazing. So there's also a need for much more detailed work,
So
much more detailed work. But another thing is another thing about this is
yes.
the cost. I think the less use of insecticides or pesticides basically would increase your revenue, but take more of your time. If I'm correct, based on your last
Yes.
submission, will increase your revenue but take more of your time. So because if you are using pesticides or rodenticide within 47,
So I've always been
yeah, please go ahead.
I've always been unlucky enough to I've always been unlucky enough to be on the side where I'm making somebody else revenue but spending my time. So yeah, I'm sure my boss somewhere when I was doing those services was making a lot of money off of it, but it was just my time. But
Amazing.
so it would the instance I'm thinking of right now is a back alley in Boston. They had planters full of bamboo, and if anybody knows anything about bamboo, they're very sugary,
Yeah.
especially the roots, and they're very thick, growing foliage. Great place for rats to hide. They can go under the bamboo, have something to eat. But because all the rats were close to the building, they then got under the building. And any pest management professional who listens to this is going to roll their eyes and like shudder with every part of their being when they hear this.
Hmm.
The biggest issue on that service, which took months, was this one gentleman just kept hearing a noise. And there is nothing worse than trying to take care of a noise. So we ended up cutting a hole in his wall, and we could see underneath his floor because we cut the hole low enough. It was this thick, um, probably a good 3 centimeters thick of
Wow.
rat droppings underneath this man's floor.
Wow.
And we ended up again putting a camera in the wall, and we found a broken pipe where the rat was coming out of.
Hmm.
It did cost a lot of money because I don't know how to fix a a hole in the wall, or I don't know how to fix a broken pipe, or I don't know how to be an electrician. You and I are very capable of breaking that stuff when we do that service.
Exactly.
So, like, again, we have to understand our customer, and our customers don't like having their plumbing and their electrical messed up by us. So,
Exactly.
we have to make sure we dotting all our T, dotting all our I's and crossing all our T's.
Great. I
And
think
it does take
yeah.
more time. And
Yeah.
yeah,
I believe like that's one also major thing that is really involved. That it takes extremely much more time compared to just applying pesticides and you are good to go. But now in this kind of situation now, it is more of the technicians that would go into the sites and do more of all this exclusion practice. Less, in fact, no insecticide applications, vacuuming, each treatment. How because you are a new hire trainer at Rentokil-Terminix. So, what are things that you do? What kind of training do you give out to your technicians? And if I am to recruit a new technician and I want him to totally apply the no pesticide free or the pesticide free service to every of the operations, what are the type of treatment training modules do I start to help give out to these technicians? Or how do you do the trainings basically?
so the main thing I try to point out to everybody, and this can change country to country, state to state, province to province, etc. But we all know that if you have a firearm or a gun, you cannot go out onto your back porch and just fire into the woods because
True.
that's where the deer live. Like, so the main thing I try to get across to every new hire is you cannot just walk into an account with a pesticide. You do not know what you are dealing with.
Hmm.
You have to have a target first. So first, foremost, before you learn any biology, before you learn any tool, I need you to understand this. I need you to understand that this is the most important tool in pest control. If you cannot see what you are dealing with, if you cannot find signs of what you are dealing with,
Hmm.
start over. Go back to step one. Find out what you are dealing with, because I can teach you how to use any material. You can get a license for almost any material,
Hmm.
but you can't unhammer in a nail, so to speak. You can't make up for bad first impression or a bad first treatment.
Hmm.
You have to make sure you are doing things right the first time,
Sure.
and just be ready to take your time.
Hmm. Amazing. There's also, one thing I've noticed about the pesticide free service is that it has to do with technological tools, latest innovations like the Victor trap that you showed before, um, your flashlights. They are new. In fact, they are very good flashlights that are coming up. That will also, in fact, be coming up again. New innovation tools. How do you keep up with innovative tools and technologies in ensuring that you still maintain this pesticide free service?
So as far as technology is concerned, they're still a mandatory and need. It's a necessity that we understand our customers. So when you talk about new innovations, a lot of things my brain jumps to is, did you know there's a rodent bait station that looks like a fuse box?
Yes,
I can
yes.
put a mouse trap in that too. Yeah, there's bait stations or stations that look like fuse boxes. There's stations that look like rocks.
Hmm.
There's the little cardboard boxes that you can put mouse traps in so nobody has to look at a mouse trap, because that's part of pest control. Nobody wants to see a mouse in your establishment, but nobody wants to see you trying to kill one either.
Hmm.
So I I feel like a lot of this is like innovations. I mean, cool. I can get a mouse trap that sends me an email. That's great. But if I don't know jack about how to capture a mouse, if I take this mouse trap and I just throw it in the middle of my floor right there,
True.
it might catch a very hungry mouse, but that's about it.
Hmm. So it's basically all about understanding the pest biology, understanding what you are dealing with, assessing the facility first before you start even thinking of what to even control and how to even control it. I think that's a very very good one to really emphasize on. And again, I wanted to ask also, being a new IR trainer, do you have like standard operating procedures like the SOP, or even training models, maybe a file or a document? Probably you want to share out to our audience or the listeners that would be able to benefit them in how they operate based on your experience.
So the thing about a process is like you could break down every step of a process into another process, but as it's not as complicated or in depth as you would think. Most of it is just, hey, you need to let know somebody know you're coming. You need to actually show up and do so safely, because we worry about these pesticides we have, but driving is more dangerous than any pesticide. And
Hmm.
then, well, you get out of your truck and you should be looking for conducive conditions. You should be looking for reasons a pest would be around. So most of it is just communication and what to be looking for. And again, I teach these classes much in this manner, but folks aren't going to learn how to do that in this manner. They go out in the field and they get shown by somebody else how to do these things.
Great. So you say you
But
teach
inspection and communication.
good, fantastic points. Inspection and communication. I feel like, in fact, that should be the control of pests. Like that should be your mantra for every pest control operator. That should be the mantra: inspection and communication. If you can have those two, I mean, you're good to go. Fantastic summary, amazing. So, how do you measure
Yes.
success in this pesticide free service? How do you know that, oh yes, this is successful? This process that I'm working on this treatment for this particular account is solved?
So, as far as a pesticide free service is concerned, success first and foremost. Did we have to escalate up into a pesticide? That's not automatically a failure, but that does detract from our success. In a lot of places, people get tax breaks or credits if they manage to have a green facility, and we take away from their green facility when we use pesticides, or at least not approved pesticides. So if there is a fly issue, again, we are inspecting. And I keep coming back to broken pipes, but they are the bane of our existence because I don't know about plumbing. I don't know how to fix a broken pipe. But when I find one, I can know that's where the flies are coming from or the rodents. And well, I can put up a fly light that is still not a pesticide, but
Hmm.
now you have a fly light on your property. Do you not like how it looks? Well, it's still not a pesticide. That's what we have. You need, again, we're communicating that pipe needs to be fixed. I know it's more expensive to hire a plumber than it is to hire me,
Hmm.
but think about the cost of this fly issue to your facility. We have rats outside and they're getting in because they chewed a hole through something. Well, if you made that particular section of wall something that they couldn't chew through, you wouldn't have rats in here, and we wouldn't have to have the pesticide conversation. Same with ants. If you have a moisture control problem or you have excess food or excess trash, you are courting ants. So again, we inspect, and a lot of times it ends up being something ridiculous that our customers or you and I see every day. Well, the dumpster's full. It can't be full. I'm sorry. It has to be emptied out more often. Like that is the solution to your pest control problem. It's not me applying Termidor. It's not me applying Alpine WSG. It's you taking your trash out more often.
Amazing, amazing. So I got a question right on the listeners actually on YouTube, but he just sent me a message on WhatsApp now, and he said, what's your take on pesticide free treatment for mosquitoes?" That's a very 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 good question.
So so let's talk about mosquitoes for a second. I don't think I have a bottle cap handy, but we all know what a bottle cap looks like about how big it is, correct?
Yes.
So does anybody do you know how many mosquito larvae can be in a bottle cap if it has water in it?
No, I don't have an idea.
About 3,000
3,000. Amazing.
in a bottle cap. Yes. So when you have those kind of numbers, you have to start minimizing your bottle caps or your
Mm.
vegetation because we all know the way leaves cup at night, especially when they aren't directed towards sunlight, they cup and they hold water. We need to be able to reduce the vegetation on the property and reduce the moisture. A lot of times, bird baths, tires, anything that is holding water, we have to make that go away.
Hmm.
And if it can't be gone away, we have to get rid of the water. So it's all about moisture and reducing those conducive conditions. But if you can't, because it is a big ask to look at you or I and say, let's make the vegetation go away because we just promoted ourselves to landscape architect at that point. So that's not our call to make. That is a situation where I don't think a pesticide free service would be a success, but we could definitely minimize the mosquitoes. Other things that hold water that nobody ever seems to think about, the gutters, they get full of water, breeding ground for mosquitoes. So any place that holds water, both high and low, needs to be looked at for mosquitoes.
Amazing. I think that's also more of trying to control their arborage sites and ensuring that all the arborage sites is actually properly well kept. Let me give you a very good example to that. There's a facility here in Oyo State that invited me to checking their facility, they store in waste tires, but a whole lot of them. It's a recycling plant there, and I discovered something that no matter how we apply microencapsulated pesticides to be able to solve this, and at least going to give residual efficacy for a particular period of time, but there is no how. They will still keep breeding. And the only solution I gave them was that first, if we treat this place, we'll need to come back in 2 weeks or 1 week time, right? Their solution, which is a recycling plant, is causing a major problem to the surrounding. The old people are complaining because the mosquitoes can fly as far as any as particular meter, right? So they are really affecting a lot of people in the community. Now, my suggestion to them was that as you are bringing in the tires into the plant, one, get them punch them, and they were like, they can't afford the machine or something like that. And I was like, you know what, if you can't do that, then what's the extent of me, what's my own point in, if I spray this place after 2 weeks the mosquitoes will be back, then my own work is as useless as any other thing. So just punch the tires, get the machine to punch the tires that you bring on board. Then also get a canopy or something to cover these tires so that when it's raining, the water don't get stored in the tires. I think those are the major control methods. So I totally agree with you in that it's totally beyond pesticides, because the pesticide will only give you a short while, give you a very, very short while solution. So okay, so amazing. The Mr. Joseph, who is the man that asked the question, who is also the CEO of Eastwind. Wow, he's actually even watching from his from his television at home. So that's amazing. He just sent me a video. Thank you very much for watching and participating. If you see how he's watching himself, he's watching as if he's watching the television. As if he's watching one cartoon. That's amazing.
That's awesome.
That's awesome. So shout out to you, Mr. Joseph from Eastwind. A big shout out to you. Thank you very much. He said, "Well done, brother." And it's also great to send his regards to you too. Amazing. So if you have questions, please, or you're watching, if you can't drop them on the chat on YouTube, please just go straight down to our WhatsApp button. You can send me a message at 070-8442-1068, or you can call us directly into the show 090-178-27767. Our phone lines are open to taking your questions. Mr. Alexander Smith, who has spent over 12 years in the pest control industry, and also currently is serving as a new hire trainer in Rentokil-Terminix. A lot of people will be like, Rentokil is a very, very big organization, right? And people want to learn. They want to know how exactly. I want us to even also talk about how exactly, if you can also, I don't know if this is confidential, right? How exactly do you think young businesses, young pest control companies, this is a little bit going out of the scale, but a lot of pest control operators out there would want to know this. How exactly can they grow, scale to become a bigger brand like Alexander's, like Terminix? How does it call your name? Great.
It's definitely not mine. But so how can they get bigger? You have to find that relation between the pest and the people. Because again, I can harp on the education. I can tell you to read this book. I can tell you to read this book, and I can tell you to read this book.
Okay.
But if you do not know how to take care of your customers, if you do not know how to understand the way the pests are affecting your customers, you tell me one bug that's going to pay your bills.
Okay. So we have a call directly into the studio, right? Let me just get that on. Hello, good evening. Oh, the person we just lost you. Please, if you are still right, you can still call us back right on the show tonight. Please give us a call back. Okay, I think the person is calling back again. Hello, good evening.
Hello, good evening, good evening, good evening. How are you?
Good evening, sir. Smart Wash.
Well done.
Good evening.
I've been listening attentively. I've been following up. This is wonderful, a wonderful program.
Amazing. Thank you
And
very much,
I
sir.
need to I need to grab and listen attentively. You are doing wonderfully good. And regards to our pro online,
Great, great. Mr.
yeah.
Alexander, can you hear
And
that?
good evening, sir.
I can kind of hear.
Good evening.
Good evening.
We really appreciate your online presence. We are really tapping a lot from you, sir. And kudos to you. And we appreciate your knowledge, insight.
Amazing. Thank you very much, sir. Thank you very much, sir.
Yeah, thank you very much. Thank you. And I hope to see more of him
Thank you,
in
sir.
any of
I don't know anything.
our upcoming series. And kudos to
Done it
people
wrong
who
these
have
three
been engaging us online with questions and answers. And as I promised from Smartwatch,
Yes.
my question to our online listener is: do they know that as we are also doing pest control in the house, in the commercial facilities, there is also a pest control in the autos, in their cars? A lot of people don't know that they transfer this pest from the car, from their auto to their house. Because they are, Nigerians, we are so unique that when you get to a bus stop or from your office, you pick your neighbors, you pick your colleagues, and as you are picking them, that's a transfer of pest. You don't know that that person has already is a carrier of pest from his house to his office, from his office to your car, and you want to help to drop him in the next bus stop, and he will discharge a bedbug, cockroach, and into your car, and it becomes a carrier to your own house.
True.
A lot of people don't know that as you are doing your bedbug control in your house, you are doing a cockroach control in your house, you are doing an ant control in your house. You also need to do it in your car, in your auto ride. So how do you do that? A lot of people don't know. They feel that car,
So,
that transport, that vehicle conveying them to the office is also a carrier
Major
of pest.
determinant. True. That's actually
Yeah,
that's
and,
a very good point
so
of view.
yeah. So to the world, to 247 worldwide who are listening to us, how do you control that in your auto? When they get the answer from our guru, then they have that ticket, and that person is a quiz winner for tonight.
Great.
Courtesy of
Amazing.
Smartwatch. So I
Amazing.
hand it over back. Thank you.
All right. Thank you very much, sir. Thank you very much. That's the CEO
Thank
of
you.
Smartwatch. Smartwatch there. Thank you very much, sir. He just asked one major question, and he's also part of our major sponsors for tonight. So he's giving a free giveaway out. So he owns the Smartwash, a car wash and a cleaning service business in the city of Ibadan and also Kaduna and I think Kano. Yeah, also Kano. They're planning to get in Lagos too. So the question is, how can we control pests in cars? Right. So if you get to answer this particular question, you have a free ticket to wash your car and auto detailing at car wash at a Smartwash. So you can also check out Smartwash at www.smartwash.ng. Check out what they do, amazing services that they render, and they can also even pick up your cars, wash your carpets, upholstery cleaning, and all those kind of amazing stuff. Please just go straight down to smartwash.ng for more information about that. So if you want to drop in the answers, please you can also call in the show again, 090-178-27767, or you can send us a WhatsApp message on 090-178-27767 right on the show. Okay, so I got in another question while I was on that call, but I know you wanted to say something. But let me just quickly put this so you also add it to, or do you want to say something before we? Please go ahead, Mr. Alexander.
may I answer that gentleman's question, or is that for the audience only?
It's actually for the audience. Do you want to bring your car to Nigeria?
Okay, then I will leave it to them.
Okay, but I think if you don't get any caller, you'll have to maybe answer that. Yeah. So I want to take this. the CEO of Immobile requested that the books, can we have the names? I think you showed some books. That's the handbook of pest control by Malice. I think I saw
Yes.
that. Then pest control
So this is
operations, pest management
Truman's
operations.
Pest Management Operations.
Truman's, yeah.
This is IPM for the Urban Professional.
Well, that's what is.
And yes, that's for the Associate Certified Entomologist program. And this is probably my favorite. I know it's like
Perfect.
the thickest, and that's not why it's my favorite. I honestly think it is the easiest to read.
It's well detailed.
It's well written.
Yeah, well detailed.
Without being too dry.
Amazing. So those are the books: Pest Management Operations by Truman, Handbook of Pest Control by Malice. Then lastly, the IPM for Urban Pest Management for the ACE. Dr. Ibuka talked about that during the last show. He talked about that, and that's a very good book that every single person want to take out and also get to read and understand the nitty-gritties of pest control. Like, I feel like those are the three major books that a pest control operator should have. Three major books.
I agree. Those are the big three.
They are the big threes. In fact, I look forward to getting that IPM in Urban Pest Management. That's for the ACE. Right. So amazing thing is that if you want to also get those books, please, I'm planning to get one. But if we buy in bulk, I think it's going to reduce the shipping expense. So if you're interested in getting those books, any of the books, please, you can reach out to me at 090-178-27767, so we can reduce the cost and expenses to Nigeria, mostly for people that are in Nigeria. Right. Okay. So let's go straight back into our conversation. I just have two more questions before we make it a wrap tonight, except if if the audience are willing to also drop in their questions in the chat box, or let me even check our insightready.net to see if we have any comments there. Okay, so no comments right now. So for those who are listening on the radio, someone is saying, "Well done, brother. Regards." Thank you very much. Thank you very much for the feedbacks. Okay, so now I've asked the question about measuring success, which is one of the major things. Now, the major thing that we usually do is first give advice to pest control operators, especially the newbies who are just thinking of, they want to join the pest control industry, they want to do something in this pest control industry, they want to grow and become a global brand. I'm also, everybody wants to become a global brand. Everybody wants to become the biggest part of the big brands out there. So what would be your own advice to pest control operators? Number one, to be able to grow and scale. That's number one. And number two is, what would be your advice for them to become? Okay, so we have another caller, right? I think we should take this call before we jump into the question. All right, good evening.
Bring it on.
Oh, wow, I think we lost him. So please try and call back again right at the show. We'll be glad to take in your calls. Okay, so my question is, what would be your advice to pest control operators who are wanting to scale? That's number one. And your advice to pest control operators who want to start to use the pesticide-free service. Two questions.
All right, so my advice to new pest management professionals, first and foremost, is remind yourself that it's okay not to be great at something. Like, we all have to start somewhere with everything. Nice. Which means when you don't always have to level up and learn how to use the new greatest thing. Make sure you are happy doing the same old, because that you're always going to come back to it.
Okay. So I think we have the caller now. So let me just stick that in. Hello, good evening.
Hello?
Hello, good evening, sir.
Good evening. I want to get on the show.
Okay, yes, you're right now on the show. Good evening. So let us know your name and where you're calling in from, sir.
My name is Badmus, calling from Lagos.
Okay, Mr. Badmus from Lagos. Do you have a question or suggestions or regards?
I just want to answer the question of the calf fumigation.
Okay. Yes, please go ahead, sir.
Is using essential oil like a perf, essential oil, so it will be in the car, so the odors will chase away insects.
The odors will chase away the insects with essential oils.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah, yeah.
Okay.
Essential oils.
Okay. Okay. I would just take note of that answer and confirm from the the smartwatch
Okay.
exactly to know if you actually
Okay.
want that. Thank you very much.
Okay.
Yeah. Great. Amazing. Okay, so he said the use of essential oils to get rid of like pef, to get rid of the maybe to deter them. I think that's what he's trying to say. But he is going towards more of pesticide free, right, approach. I don't think I've heard that before. I don't know. What do you think? What do you think? Do you think essential oils can, I mean, for cars, perfumes can deter cockroaches or bed bugs?
So my main thing with cars is they're outside most of the time, which is already half the battle for us. We can put them in a place where they're going to get cold enough or hot
Mm.
enough to kill things. So whenever people are concerned about bed bugs or cockroaches, and I don't know about you, but I've seen the video of the driver with the German cockroach in their hair on
Yeah,
the taxi cab once. So
I have the
it,
video like on my platform.
so it, that is more of a problem of a pest on a person, and that should not be forgotten. If you leave
Mm.
your car in a hot parking lot on a 90-degree day, your car is going to be 120, 140 degrees Fahrenheit. I apologize, I don't know Celsius.
Yeah.
um, but it's going to be very warm enough to kill most insects that would be in your car. The main concern folks should have is bugs on their person. And
Mm.
as far as rodents are concerned, they are repelled by mint. It burns their eyes. But the thing I always point out to people is you can put mint on things to deter rodents, but garbage men go to work every day. They don't like the smell of their job, but they still go to work, just like rodents.
Mm.
So the main thing you want to keep in mind about rodents is look at the ingredients or the vitamins and nutrients on any of your foods. There's copper, there's iron, there's magnesium. All of that can be found in the wiring on your automobile. So
Sure.
parking away from rodent problems is the best thing you can do. Don't park near rat infested areas.
Great. And one major thing about also getting rid of pests in cars is first inspection and communication, right? Inspecting your, I mean,
Always.
it's important that as homeowners out there you inspect regularly. One thing that I usually talk to my clients about is inspect your facilities. In fact, most of my pest inside videos that I pull out virtually all the time in a week is first check your facilities, ensure that the pests are not there before it becomes an infestation and all. So those are major things. For cars, one major thing is that you vacuum. Take your cars for auto detailing. Take your cars for detail washing regularly. And I think that should probably be the answer. I would get back to our major guest, our major sponsor, which is Smartwash. Auto detailing, wash your cars regularly, because cleanliness is next to godliness. That's what they say. But this time around, cleanliness is to no pests, right? That's the major thing. So if you keep your facilities as clean as possible, some major pests would not have a place to stay. Especially in cars, even though you have bed bugs in cars, it is easy for the cleaners to be able to detect that they are bed bugs, because they will do more of detail washing. Detail washing. I've seen smartwash when they wash. I've seen them how they wash. The vacuum, the equipment are in fact sophisticated equipment. You think you're even going to go and fight a battle. So they are always well detailed. So I want you to look into that. Ensure that you also carry out all those detailing service for your car regularly. That would help. Right? Because he made mention of perfumes, and I feel like for bedbug control, bedbugs are attracted to the smell that humans emit, right? So something like that would even attract them the more. So I mean, I'm not saying the answer is totally wrong, right? But just my own point of view, though. So now, my question: you've talked about the advice for pest control operators to scale. Just take it gradually. Try to understand that there is time for every single thing. You don't rush the process. It's a process, right? And that's something I've learned in business. It's a process. Today might not be good. Tomorrow will be extremely better. And there's a way God works that He shows you what you need and gives you all the resources that you need at the right time, right? It's just like how I started the radio that we are in right now. I started from my self-con where I was staying when I was still in school, my final year. I was just sharing my bed space with my studio space just on the table, and I was live streaming like this. I was having guests from UK, from US, nobody knows, right? So because the camera is just right, it's just right in front of me, and nobody's gonna know anything, all right? But I kept on pushing. And now we have our full-blown studio, fully set up, and we have other shows, other programs, and we are still eating it. So just still stay consistent in it. I think it's my word for someone out there. Stay consistent in it. I mean, and also one major thing that has really helped me in the pest control industry generally is that I have worked with elders, mentors. Mentorship is like the major thing. I don't know about you, but mentorship is the major thing. Oh. Who mentors you determine where you are going to. And again, I was watching a video this morning, and it was like, the people are. Do you have somebody that can call you at the middle of the night and say, this post that you have on your social media is wrong, pull it off? The way you operate. There was a time I posted a video where I was steaming. I was doing a bedbug treatment. I mean, just like what you said, that a person, like, you've been in the industry for about 5 years and I feel like you know it all. So I was steaming a particular sofa, but the sofa is actually leather. And immediately this man, in fact, we're not that really close, not really, really close, but we talk more often. And he just called me all of a sudden. He was like, SB, this post you just did now, remove it immediately. And I was like, sir, why exactly? And he was like, you see, you don't steam a leather sofa because it's gonna make it elastic. It's going to increase the size, right? And in that case, it's going to damage it. And I noticed it, but because I was thinking, oh, steamers should be able to work. I've never like come across that kind of study before. Like, okay, you don't steam a leather, right? But immediately he told me that stuff. I was able to learn. Humility, be humble. Get people that you can call at any time, that can call you and say, this thing that you're doing is wrong. People that can sit your ass down. I mean, that's one thing that really helped me in the industry. I mean, I really love that because that has really, really helped me a whole lot. And I think that's my advice for young people or even existing business owners that have grown and gained experience. Please, there is always a time for humility to learn without even the age, looking at the age bracket or anything. I mean, that's my word for somebody. I don't know. that just came, right? I don't feel like sharing that. Okay. So my next question was the advice for pest control operator to be able to ensure pesticides free service. Yeah. Over to you.
So again, we're going to go to the point where we were talking about. There was a point where you felt like you knew everything. And learning, at least in my mind, when I think of it, is like a horseshoe. It's shaped like this. So this is where you start on this side when you were first starting. And then once you get here, you think you know everything. And in the United States, you have to get licensed for this. You have to get licensed for that. So once you are at the top of that horseshoe, you have all your licenses and you think you have access to all these pesticides, and you do. But you spend the second half of learning going back down to here because you realize that the opportunity or the reason to use those pesticides, they're not always the best tools. I learned the best tools when I first started. And we're going to say it again. Inspection and communication are your best tools.
That's the mantra. So the best tools for pest control from today on, is it today on henceforth or today onward? Or what's the grammar? The best tool is inspection and communication. Jot things down. Like just hold out to those two words. Inspection and communication. I'm going to preach that to all my technicians from now on. Like that's our mantra, right? So my last question for tonight is what do you see, or where do you see the future of pesticide free service in the pest control industry? Where do you see it? And how do you think it will evolve with time?
I think first and foremost, I worked for a gentleman in Boston who would tell me that IPM is the future, and integrated pest management. They're all buzzwords because you ask anybody, well, what does these things mean? You're going to get a different answer every time.
100%.
But as far as the future of pest-free service, it we were there at one point in our history as humans. We understood the best way to control pests is to never get them to start with. And it's going to go back to basics at a certain point. It's going to get back to, well, if I don't want to have clothing moths, maybe I shouldn't have things made out of wool or fur in my home. If I don't want to have ants constantly in my house every time it rains, I should probably seal up the gaps around my windows. If I want to make sure I don't get German cockroaches, I need to make sure, one, I'm not bringing them in, and two, I'm not giving them a reason to stay. And the same with bed bugs. Do your best to make sure you're not bringing them in. And we can talk sanitation. When everybody thinks sanitation, at least for me, the first thing I think of is a dirty kitchen. But you can check whether or not you have bed bugs if you're changing your sheets on a regular basis. If you're changing it once a week, you're going to catch them within their breeding cycle and be able to stop them earlier.
Amazing. That's a very good point of view. So it still boils down to inspection and adequate information, and ensuring that the clients also understand all these things, and that comes with communication. So the two major mantras that we're closing up with tonight is inspection and communication. So every pest control companies out there that are listening to this show, ensure, like, after this show like this, just go and write it. Like, that should be the next frame that you're going to hang in your office. Inspection and communication, the key to pest control. I mean, I should write a blog post about this, like inspection and communication, the key to effective pest control practice. Amazing. I just coined out the title like that, like a blog title.
I like it.
Amazing. I think we should co-write something about that now. You wait, no, it's not mine, it's yours. You coined that, so you should write a blog post like that. Like an article on that. I'll publish it on the radio. We'll get it out there, right? Okay, so we'll talk about that after the show. All right.
I'll hit the books and I'll write something for you, Shofu.
Great. And I'm also hoping that we can get like an SOP, like a sample or training modules that we can share out to some of our pest control companies out there. You know, if you can help us with that too, that will really go a long way. All right. Okay, so we have come into the
Absolutely. I can definitely work on something for that.
Amazing. Thank you very much. All right, so we've come into the end of the Pest Experience show tonight, and you know why we do it. I hope you enjoyed. I hope you learned something. I hope you had fun. I hope you enjoyed today's session with the Pest Experience show right here on Inside Radio. And you know how we do it. You know why we do it. You know what we do right here. We talk about pest and pest control. And you know that the Pest Experience show is proudly sponsored by the A-Mobile Group Academy. It's also proudly sponsored by the A-Mobile Group Academy and also Pest Shop by D Fortune. So please go and check out from A-Mobile Clean Pest Store. Oh, you can also get your equipment, products, also amazing equipment from A-Mobile Clean Pest Store. That's the acleanpeststore.com. Just go to A Clean Pest Store and you get all those materials at a very, very affordable price from the A-Mobile Group. And also the Pest Shop by D Fortune. You can get amazing. List your products, list your services there, and earn more money. Increase your revenue stream. Increase your brand, right? So my name is Shofu Babalola, SB for short, and I'm going to say good night and have a wonderful night rest. And this is the Pest Experience Show on Insight Radio.